In America, there is one decision so powerful that it can destroy businesses, collapse banks, shake global markets, make people homeless, and even decide the future of entire countries. A single decision, made not by the president, not by Congress, not by voters, but by a group of unelected people sitting inside a building in Washington, D.C. This group controls the price of money. This group controls interest rates. And whoever controls interest rates controls the world. This group is the Federal Reserve. Most Americans don't know how much power the Fed has. They just hear interest rates increased, interest rates dropped, inflation rising, markets crashing. But behind these words is a truth so big, so powerful, that it shapes the entire American economy and the lives of 340 million people. Interest rates are not just numbers. They are weapons. And the Federal Reserve uses them to control spending, control borrowing, control housing, control inflation, control banks, control companies, control jobs, and indirectly control the world economy. But how? Let's start from the beginning. The price of money. Imagine if bread suddenly cost double, or gasoline became triple overnight, or rent became unaffordable. People would panic. But Americans don't realize that the price of money itself changes every single year. Interest rates decide how expensive it is to borrow. Low interest rates money is cheap. High interest rates money becomes expensive. But here is the dark part. The Federal Reserve decides the price of money with a simple announcement. Not you. Not voters. Not the government. Just them. One room. 12 people. One meeting. And the whole economy changes. When interest rates fall, the Fed lowers rates when it wants people to spend. Suddenly, credit cards become cheaper. Loans become easier. Houses become affordable. Businesses borrow more. Stock markets rise. People take risks. The economy grows faster. Cheap money makes everything look good. But there is a hidden cost. Too much cheap money creates bubbles. Housing bubbles. Stock bubbles. Debt bubbles. And every bubble eventually pops when interest rates rise. Raising interest rates is like pressing the brakes on the economy. Suddenly, mortgage payments double. Credit cards become deadly. Car loans become painful. Businesses stop borrowing. People stop spending. Companies start firing. Stock markets fall. Recession begins. The Fed raises rates when inflation rises. But when they do, millions of Americans suffer. Because the cost of everything goes up. Except their income. The hidden power. When the Fed raises interest rates, they decide who can buy a house, who loses their job, which businesses survive, which banks collapse, how much Americans pay on debt, even how much the government pays in interest. Yes, the U.S. government, the most powerful government on earth, also fears the Federal Reserve. Because when rates go up, America's national debt becomes more expensive. Today the U.S. owes over $34 trillion. Higher interest rates mean hundreds of billions more that taxpayers must pay. The Fed controls the economy more directly than the president. The global impact. But here's the part. Most people don't know. The Federal Reserve doesn't just control America. It controls the world. When U.S. interest rates rise, poor countries go bankrupt. Their currencies collapse. Their debt becomes unpayable. Investors escape. Unemployment explodes. Countries like Argentina, Turkey, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Nigeria have experienced multiple economic crashes because the U.S. raised interest rates. The world depends on the U.S. dollar. The dollar depends on U.S. interest rates. And interest rates depend on the Federal Reserve. That is why the Fed is the most powerful financial institution on earth. The silent recession. Every recession America has faced in the last 50 years was directly connected to interest rates. 2000 dot-com crash, 2008 housing crash, 2020 pandemic crash, 2023 inflation spike, 2024 recession fears. All of these were influenced by the Federal Reserve. When money is cheap, Americans borrow more. When money becomes expensive, Americans collapse under debt. The Fed decides which phase happens. The interest rate trap. Here is the part that affects every American directly. Interest rates decide how fast your debt grows. If your credit card interest is 25%, a $1,000 balance can turn into $4,000. Even if you stop using the card. The Fed doesn't set credit card interest directly. But when they raise rates, your credit card company raises it too. Americans have $1.3 trillion in credit card debt, $1.6 trillion in student loans, $1.4 trillion in auto loans, $12 trillion in total household debt. And when the Fed raises interest rates, all this debt becomes more expensive. Overnight. A hidden tax that Americans never voted for. Why the Fed does this? The Federal Reserve has one job: control inflation. But the method they use is brutal. To reduce inflation, they make life more expensive. They slow the economy. They increase unemployment. They force people to stop spending because they simply can't afford to spend. It sounds cruel, but that is how the modern financial system works. Millions suffer to fix a problem created by the same system that punishes them. The real question: if one group of people can change the world economy with a single decision, who controls them? Who decides what is good for America? What is good for the world? What is good for you? Why do unelected economists have so much power over the lives of millions? Why can a group of people inside a locked room decide the price of money without anyone voting for them? This is the silent truth behind modern finance. You can't control the Federal Reserve. You can't control interest rates. You can't control inflation. But you can control how you react to them. Because once you understand how interest rates shape your life, you stop being a victim of the system, and you start becoming someone who understands the game. In a world controlled by interest rates, knowledge is the only real power.